How about this color background we got? Isn't that nice?
That's good. We're working it today. I'm wearing my prison stripes today. If anybody needs any trash picked up on the side of the road, I'm dressed for it today.
Well, I'm wearing the orange is the new black, so we're kind of on the same page.
Well, I got my orange watch on.
I need that watch.
There we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the SPAMM Saloon.
Monday.
And this is Monday. And we're here on Mondays and Fridays at 7 p.m., and we are the Bo and Greggo show, and SPAMM Saloon is sports, politics, attitude, music, media, and
this, that,
and the other.
Whatever we want to throw in.
We talk everything from A to Z. So
it's just a shame, Bo, that we're coming in today and there's just nothing to talk about.
It's been real boring the last 2 or 3 days.
There's no news, nothing happening in the political world. The sports world's kind of dead around here. I wish there was something we could tell. Are you kidding me? It's like a fire hose trying to get a drink of water.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what we should even try to talk about because because we're going to be we've got a segment that's called the Lightning Strikes 5 Times. We've shortened it to really Lightning Strikes in the news, and I've got really a lot more than I should bring up, and we're going to get right into it. We're minus Purple Haze, Barbie and Purple Haze tonight. She's
better to have it and need it than need it and not have it.
My grandmother told me that 1,000 times.
As I quote a little bit of Lonesome Dove.
I like that. I love Lonesome Dove. That's one of my favorite.
Best Western movie of all time, and I count that as a Western movie.
Now,
even though
you talk about the movie of the series, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It's awesome. And if you have, in fact, you just made me want to go watch it again. Because I haven't seen it in a long time.
That's one of the that's in the Shawshank Redemption, either one of the Godfathers or Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
That's the old standard right there.
When I'm flying by, or Dazed and Confused, when I'm flying by the stations, doing a little channel surfing, if I come across any of those movies, that's it. I'm stopped. That's it. I'm watching it.
Well, I'm that way too, and of course, if I stumble across an Andy Griffith show, I'm stopping there too.
You get that every day.
I know, I love it, and my son Graham loves that show too, and we watch it together. We have for years, and it's just one of those things you get used to after a while. And I don't care. I've seen the shows 1,000 times, but I still love them. So we're minus Purple Haze tonight, but I am Bo Carver, and I'm half of the Bo and Greggo show. And joining me as always is the great Greggo. Thanks for being here tonight, as always. And let's just get into it, okay? Enough of the introductions and all the BS around that.
Because we got to get out of here right at 8 tonight. You know why? Because Andy's playing tonight.
Andy Dalton.
Oh, that's right. I don't miss Andy Dalton.
They're not doing so great.
No, they're not. They're not. But he's still Andy Dalton, and he gave me a top 3 moment in my entire life. That win in that Rose Bowl.
Well, yeah. So he was fantastic at TCU.
Andy Dalton
for sure.
can do no wrong with me.
And I like Andy Dalton.
And he plays tonight, so I got to scoot home tonight and
all right.
watch him.
We'll get out of here. So now that you've brought up sports. Let's go ahead and get into the Cowboys and Saints game from yesterday. Actually, yesterday evening, last night. It was a slugfest, to say the least, and wasn't a high-scoring game.
Cowboys didn't allow a touchdown.
Yeah, but they walked away with a loss. So what difference does it make?
Well, they've only lost 3 games in their entire history where they didn't give up a touchdown.
But you also said on Friday that they're playing against the breezeless Saints, so that could have been the reason why they didn't give up a touchdown.
Yeah. Hey, I still think the Cowboys are going to have a say in who goes to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to go, but somehow they're going to decide who does go. It might be them. It might not. They might knock off a favorite as a wild card team. I don't know, but I think they're going to be in the thick of things, and that loss doesn't diminish that thought that I had last week one bit.
Well, first,
one bit.
Okay, first of all, the Saints should have been in the Super Bowl last year. So they probably could have maybe even won it. We don't know because they didn't play it. But they should have been there.
Well, when Sean Payton is coaching, you can bet that he's always going to leave the door open in the last minute of play and give the other team a chance. It's amazing, some of the boneheaded moves. That I couldn't believe that last play, giving the Cowboys the ball back. I couldn't believe that last play because
you mean the sack of 30 yards?
Yeah, and
I couldn't believe the Cowboys turned around about fair play when they got the ball and they sacked Dak.
Hey,
they should have been down there knowing that they needed to do a quick pass like they were doing a lot earlier and get that ball down at least 10, 15 yards to get out of that back and then get out there on a quick pass, and then they could have moved the ball. But once they sacked him, they almost got 2 points out of the fan.
They got the ball back with 1:45.
Plenty of time.
And I had watched earlier in the day in a game where two teams scored 21 points in 63 seconds, a minute 3.
Yeah, it's plenty of time.
So there was plenty of time for him to get
and
it
they
done.
had 2 timeouts.
And it was a Dak moment. I mean, it was set up for him. But in baseball, they're what's called trap games. You play so many games that every once in a while you'll catch a team that's on a high and you'll have to travel across the country, and the other team had suffered a bad defeat and they were allowed to rest all their players for half a game.
Right.
The other team comes in, and they're called trap games.
I got you.
I think that was kind of a I don't believe in trap games in the NFL because you got a whole week to prepare. A lot of things can happen. But I really believe that was somewhat of a trap game. First of all, the Saints are playing like a bunch of pissed off wasps this year because because of what happened to them last year.
And they should be, and I don't blame them.
And on everything I'm saying, just understand this: they're a really good team. They are really good. And they are really well coached until the last minute when Sean Payton is going to make a boneheaded move somehow.
But he finds a way to win.
He does.
I like that defense.
So they are a really, really, really good team. But they were coming off an emotional
and they were at home.
They were coming off an emotional win on the road against a team that a lot of people think is going to be a playoff team.
I agree.
And potential Super Bowl.
They probably will be
with the Seahawks.
Right.
And they get to come home, and I'm sure you've been there before in the Dome to see a Saints game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's insanity.
It's the hardest place in the world to go to.
Unless you've been. I can sit here for the next hour and just tell you stories because I've probably seen 15, 20 games in there, whether it be college or high school,
correct,
or NFL games, and I can't find the adjectives to describe just what insanity that scene is. It is so loud that you cannot hear yourself think. We would be in the press box with the windows closed, and you couldn't talk to the person next to you.
Well, you said just on Friday that who was the quarterback?
Brett Favre
said that after about going into the fourth quarter, he's worn out just from the emotion of yelling the calls and all that he's burnt out.
And now in the NFL where you go up in the no huddle and you have to make adjustments and a quarterback has to bark out.
Well, you saw that a bunch of times where he had to go kind of down the line almost and tell him what he was doing. And
you can tell how it affected them because the ineffectiveness because defenses now are so, and by the way, Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator for the Saints, man, he coached the pants off the Cowboys last night. By the way, LD Bell, he went to LD Bell High School.
Oh, is that right?
Went to LD Bell High School, and he was he was a big member of R.C. Slocum's first wrecking crew at A&M. He was a hard-hitting safety, Dennis Allen. And he was a head coach of the Raiders for about 10 minutes.
Right, I remember that.
But he's a great defensive coach, and he's got those guys.
He showed it. Playing a very high.
And he had a scheme to where that the offensive line, he was able to use the crowd, and if those offensive line, because they looked out of sync all night long, the running game, and all you got to do is look at
the yards. What did he have, about 30 yards?
35 yards.
Yeah,
18 carries, 35 yards.
There's your $100 million player.
Well, see, now you're going to hold that against him.
Well, I mean, that's what you pay a guy like that for.
See, it wasn't Dak's fault last night because he hadn't got his contract. But as soon as he gets his contract, everybody would be blaming him today.
Well, of course.
But anyway, getting back, the offensive line, if you can't communicate verbally, you can have all the hand signs, but you can't move when you get up there on the line. Once you get set. Yeah. So a lot of times they will use verbal commands because the defense is constantly shifting until the ball is snapped. That's just the way of the NFL now. And the Cowboys are really good at communicating when they can. But when they can't, you saw confusion last night. And the Cowboys never got the running. Well, they never got anything.
They never got. And was it? What's the corner's name? Lattimore? Is that his? What's it that was on Cooper all night? What's his?
Lattimore.
Yeah,
Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah, they said that he'd been kind of sucky all season, but then when he rises to the occasion, when somebody like Cooper comes into town, and listen. I just want to say right now to all my Louisiana followers, okay, I do like the Saints. In fact, that's my second favorite team in the NFL. Although I started following the Cowboys since 1960 when they came in the league. So don't hold it against me. I'm not trying to run down the Saints. But I know that a couple of those calls against Cooper were, I think, very, very questionable about pushing off.
The second one was...
Both of them were not good.
It's almost as if, and here comes my conspiracy theorist.
With the refs.
It's almost as if that because there have been so many key calls that have gone against the Saints in the last 5 years. Not just last year.
So you think they might be trying to make up?
No, but I think it's... I don't think that any ref goes in and says, you know what, if it's close, I'm going to give it to the Saints. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think that goes on. I don't think there's a concerted effort. I don't think there was a memo or an email issued. But I think it's in the minds of the referees.
I can see that.
You can't get out. And last night,
they took a big beating on that call last year, which they should have.
And last night, that offense, it's, was it offensive pass interference? A guy could get over here and show me in slow motion that here's why it is and convince me. He could.
You could almost do that every play.
In that situation.
No.
Not because in a 2-point game, you want to give, God, I hate to say this, but if you're a ref, you want to call it down the line. I mean, you want it as fair as you can, and you don't want to, if it's ticky-tack, you don't want to call it.
Well, that second one was more than ticky-tack. That was just a horrible call because Cooper never even put his arm. He had his arm like that, but he never even touched the guy. And
it was in that situation. But give the Cowboys credit. Everything I've read today, and I've listened because I've been out, running errands all day, and so I listened to a lot of sports talk radio, and not a lot of people are whining and griping about that call, and that's good. And that's good because
the Cowboys they Witten fumbled. That was his that's shocking.
Fumbled. George Bush was
yeah, that's what I'm saying now. So you can't knock his head around, but those kind of mistakes. And then you had Elliott fumbling. That was kind of a questionable thing too, but it went against him. Considered a fumble, but still,
I thought it was a fumble.
Okay, well,
I thought it was a fumble.
Okay, well, it's a fumble. But anyway, there's 2 fumbles that you don't expect out of 2 guys.
Right.
That may never fumble again the rest of the season.
But the Saints are good at knocking the ball out.
They are.
So
they hit hard, and they were coming hard at the Cowboys last night. And
I just thought the Cowboys got out-coached. And that's no knock on because that
except
happens.
For the last play by Sean Payton.
I mean, yeah, that brain dead. I mean, he was trying to keep viewers. He didn't want anybody to go away.
Boy, he did a good job
to keep viewers for NBC last night. But it didn't diminish my thoughts of the Cowboys and what they're going to do, what kind of team they are, what kind of team I think they're going to be. It hasn't diminished it one bit. It's a loss. They weren't going to go. They were not going to go 16-0. They were going to lose a team,
Well, they lost against a top-rated team. That team may be back in the. They may go to the Super Bowl. They should have been there last year.
Well, hey, they've won 2 games against the Cowboys
and Seattle.
With a backup quarterback.
Which probably wouldn't even be on a third string on a lot of teams.
No, but once again, Teddy Bridgewater was a guy before he got hurt that was a Pro Bowl quarterback. So it's not like that Cooper Rush that the Cowboys
I got you.
So,
he's got
a quality backup, but he's not Drew Brees.
Not even close.
And they're going to get Drew Brees back.
And they may get him back without a loss.
But then
how crazy would that be?
But then the Cowboys, if they meet again, which it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
True.
Hopefully the Cowboys, the coin will come up on the right side, and they'll get home field advantage.
Yeah, they better.
But if they go down there again, then the Cowboys are going to have the benefit of a whole game film to look what they did wrong, make adjustments, and make corrections. You got to remember that the Saints played 3 pretty tough games before the Cowboys.
Yes.
The Cowboys played 3
well, they played
relatively easy
before
teams.
The Saints, nobody.
And so it was a
wake-up call. Kind of.
Trap game, whatever you want to say.
Well, at least gives them a chance to now know where they are. And in a lot of ways, even though they lost the game, they were in it down to really the last minute and 30-some-odd seconds. So they
had a chance to win it.
They had a chance to win it, and
not
could
just
have won
a chance, a hell of a chance to win.
Yes, exactly.
Because if they'd have got the ball with 45 seconds left, okay, with that far to go. But they got it with 1:45.
Yes,
and
plenty of time.
It was Dak's time to shine. He didn't get it done. Now, is it because Dak is bad? No. I mean, it might be because the Saints are really good, and they had a coach that was able to
have their number last night,
expose
for sure.
some of the weaknesses of the Cowboys offense. Now, are the Cowboys just going to lick their wounds and crawl into a hole and die because they got beat in the 4th game of the year? No, they're not going to do that.
It might set them on fire and realize that sometimes you start walking around with a little cockiness, like, hey man, we're 3-0, blah 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 blah, and next thing you know, again, like it's a wake up call.
Yeah,
so we had some.
They got beat by a good team in a practically impossible place to play.
It's true.
And there you have it. They're running back, and they're running. I'm going to say they're running game because, I put a lot of blame on the offensive line. And
they weren't moving people, were they?
Nope. And, Zeke, he wasn't exactly making people miss.
No, he wasn't.
And by doing that took Dak a little bit out of his comfort zone as far as passing. And they were getting a pretty good rush on him because they were blitzing him.
And they kind of got in coming in out of the second end of the second half. They started doing those real quick passes. I thought were working really good. And I guess one thing that I thought was interesting is they didn't throw the ball around to quite as many folk as they've normally done. And I think that was a big problem.
I think they missed Gallup.
Yeah,
I think they missed him. And the fact that I want you to go look at the numbers of Amari Cooper when playing at home and on the road.
It's really night and day.
It is shocking.
Now, why is that, you think?
It could be an aberration in stats, but I'm talking just as Cowboy days.
I got you.
It is stunning. And I don't know. I don't know that there is a reason. I don't think it's because of preparation. I don't think it's because that he gears up more. I think it's just something that kind of happens, but that can develop into something mental. That's just something to watch. Tavon Austin, I don't know what his use is. I really don't. I really don't.
Well, he made a good catch right there towards the end that they reviewed, and it was clearly a really good catch.
And I don't think Witten has. I don't think he's
gotten
really
back into full
flow just yet.
Yeah, he will.
But it's
no excuses. The Saints won. They won legitimately. The Cowboys had plenty of things that they could have done to win that game. Good call, bad call, whatever kind of calls you want to make. No excuses here. The Cowboys just were handed the loss. Hope they do better and learn from it. And good luck to the Saints because they're a good ball club. And I do like Drew Brees. He's an Austin kid.
Yeah,
and you got to love somebody from Texas that does that well, and so
a lot of good quarterbacks been coming out of there.
Absolutely,
and Baker Mayfield,
yes sir, and the Detroit the old Detroit quarterback right now from Lake Highlands or Highland Park,
Matthew Stafford.
Matthew Stafford, he had a great day yesterday too.
Yep. So, for years and years, the state of Texas was known for running backs, and now all of a sudden, it's quarterbacks because of the, proliferation of that 7-7 league,
right?
And the spread offenses where you're throwing the ball around a lot,
and they're doing it.
Andrew Luck. He was.
Oh, yep. There you go. Now, before we move out, and I haven't looked. What is the injury reports? What's shaking there? Because there are a couple shakeups there. I know
Tyron Smith.
He's
got that high ankle sprain.
Limped off.
And anytime you hear ankle sprain, you think, okay, tape it up and go. But when they put the high in front of it, high ankle sprain,
that's a real movement issue, isn't it?
And the last I heard, that he that they didn't think it was as bad as they thought it was, but in the same sentence they said that they weren't sure if he was going to play against the Packers on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So, and with him,
That
he's one of those.
changes a lot of things.
Well,
doesn't
he's
it?
your left tackle.
There's no
he's,
doubt.
he's your quarterback of the
offensive
I
line.
mean, he's probably the third most important, maybe third, arguably the second most important player on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback's obviously number one. You can make a case for a running back or a wide receiver, but I promise you, your left tackle
that's the main guy.
that's the guy.
What you always look for the
that
stud.
is the bodyguard of the quarterback.
You're right.
And you want your Luca Braza in there.
There you go.
So it didn't diminish me one bit. It's always better when you win. It sucks when you lose, but
Well, like you said, no
they weren't
team.
going to go 16-0.
And when's the last time that happened? Was it Miami? I
Patriots.
know Miami did a long time ago, but
Well, they did
the
in
Patriots.
72. The Patriots did it.
But then they didn't win the Super Bowl.
They didn't win the Super Bowl.
So what good is that?
But they won. But they were 16-0. They won every.
Which would you rather have, the Super Bowl or 16-0?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm
That's-
sure they'd change that around too, wouldn't they?
I mean, if you can get in the playoffs at 9
99 or
at
whatever.
9-7 and win the Super Bowl, you'll take that.
Yeah, whatever.
Nobody will ever remember those 7 losses.
No, not at all. That's the big champion crown you get. That's all that matters. And it is 16 games. It is a long season. So Cowboys, best of luck. And Saints, good luck to you too, because I do like the Saints. Okay, it's time now to do the lightning strikes 5 times. Again, I'm going to be reading some news clippings, some news things, and Greggo doesn't know. He doesn't know what I'm going to read. Now, he might know some of the stories, but he doesn't know what I'm going to be bringing up. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. California to allow college athletes to make money off endorsements. Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill today allowing college student athletes attending both private and public universities to hire agents and make money from endorsements in a move that promises to change college sports across the U.S. and prompt a challenge from the NCAA.
Well, this is probably our last lightning strike.
Because you're on the roll with it, okay. I guess I'll have to say these
because
right.
Now
we may need to go 3 days a week.
This isn't going to happen until 2023, and I think they purposely are, which is in essence 4 years. They're going to give the NCAA.
But it would take that long anyway to get it under control.
They're going to give the NCAA that long to get their S together. Because there is a problem. There is a problem, and this is one of those things that I can see both sides of. We all would like to protect the sanctity of the
amateur status.
But that's long gone. It's over.
Well, we don't even have that in the Olympics anymore.
No, I remember in the Olympics where you couldn't get any money. I remember the story of Bruce.
Well, you couldn't even. Yeah, you couldn't make
Bruce
anything.
Jenner,
Right.
When Bruce Jenner was training for the decathlon in 1976, he and his wife, they struggled so bad financially that he couldn't eat properly to train. Because he
don't open the door for me to make a comment.
Let's just call him Bruce. Let's just call him Bruce Jenner. He won the decathlon and he did it in record fashion. And he was one of the guys that kind of was on the forefront of this. And then all of a sudden they started letting them have a little bit of endorsement money, then a little bit more. And they left that door open just a little bit. And now you can just openly pay an athlete a salary.
Right.
And a lot of our great Olympic athletes, Michael Phelps was one, where he's paid a salary, millions of dollars.
They get even sponsorship money, don't they?
Has it hurt the Olympics?
Well, the whole point was back in the day when you and I grew up and they could only come from the U.S. as an amateur and not make a nickel. They were competing against other countries that were.
But they weren't. It wasn't.
You don't think so? You don't think the Russians were sending people over there?
What the Russians would do is they would take all of their great athletes, they would make them a member of their army. and their job was to play sports.
Well, then technically they're
and so
getting
they were getting paid.
I mean, they
To
had
where
their
we were-
professional hockey team going and doing all. That's what was so
Exactly.
great about the U.S.
Exactly.
winning that one cup that Olympic
So
gold.
now
that
they
time.
weren't paying them a lot. They just were not killing them like they were killing a lot of
Yeah,
other
well, they didn't
citizens
have to
back
go
then.
and eat cheese like
Exactly.
cheese sandwiches every day.
So the amateur status in the Olympics was killed a long time ago, and I this is not going to come as a. I used to have this saying, and I still believe it. If you have a college program, whether it be football or basketball, because that's the two bell cows. That's the two, bell cows that provide revenue for all the other sports.
Right,
Whether
of
you want
course.
to believe that or not,
No,
because
it's
they are
true.
revenue producing.
Absolutely.
If you have a team that wins and wins on a consistent basis, let's give you a couple examples. Let's go North Carolina basketball. Let's go Duke basketball. Let's go Alabama football. Let's go Tennessee football. Not now, but at the time, Tennessee or Clemson now.
Right.
They are doing something wrong. They are cheating somehow. Somehow they are cheating. Somehow they are doing something under the table.
Well, you know what?
They're cheating.
Probably most all of them are. And I even think it even goes into high school, really, but that's another story because
Well,
we're
if you
talking.
go back into the 50s in Texas, when the oil became a big thing, that a lot of the West Texas teams, when Texas only had, when Wichita Falls only had
Correct.
one team, they'd go out and find some stud at a little one-horse town and give his daddy a great job and move him there.
So
and
what's
Junior
the
would play.
difference?
It's that's what I'm saying. The amateur status was destroyed a long time ago.
Correct.
It's just now they're trying to get it above board. I always use this example that, and this isn't everybody, because some kids, families, and some kids, themselves have higher morals than others. But you've got this player. He comes from a very poor family, very poor. And you've got Team A that says, son, I want you to come play for Old State University. And I'm going to give you a chance to play. I'm going to teach you how to play the game. You're going to play in this magnificent stadium. I'm going to give you a good education. We've got a great alumni base, and they're going to take care of you. And if you come here and play right, even if you don't go to the NFL, we're going to give you a good education, and you're going to make business contacts, and you'll have a job, and you're going to live a great life. How about it? Sign up. Then you're going to have Team B come in. They're going to go, son, we want you to come play for Old Tech University, and we're going to give you a chance to play. We're going to teach you how to play the game. We're going to let you play in this magnificent
Same story,
stadium.
second
You
verse,
are going to have all kinds of alumni that love you. We're going to give you a top grade education. We're going to give you all the tutors you need. We're going to create it to where if you don't make it in the pros, then you will have a great background. And oh, by the way, we're going to give you $50,000 to sign and pay you $1,000 a month. Where is that kid going to go?
Well, he
Like
probably
I
has
said-
to think about it about 3 seconds.
Like I said, not 1 out of 10 is going to go, no, sir, I can't be bought. 1 out of 10. But 9 out of 10 are going to look at their dad, who works for minimum wage, their mom, who has to slave away at 3 jobs, and they're like, you're going to give me $50,000 cash?
Get him
and
all
pay
out
me
of
money?
there, right?
He's going to go there. And so
Okay.
you
give,
tempt-
but
tempt
here's the
them-
thing:
you
how do they give that person $50,000?
Oh my gosh, slush funds, because
No, but I mean, how without getting caught? Because it's technically against the rules. So how do they do that? How do they go about doing
how
that?
do politicians funnel money? There's so many ways because in
Offering the dad a job, and he's like
That happens a lot.
assistant manager.
That-
and he's the guy that carries the balls out on the field.
that happens a lot. They give them they
Give
used
them
to
some
give them
kind of
jobs that you
title
didn't
or
show
whatever,
up.
right?
Yeah, and so it happens, and you have now where you've got, and I think the problem is 90% the alumni, because you've got this rabid alumni base that they don't want to go into work on Monday and have to face the Texas fan to where Texas A&M beat them. And you're talking about CEOs, and you're talking about rich
plenty
people
of money
that will pay it.
Oh, yeah.
T. Boone Pickens.
Yeah, there you
he
go.
got tired of Oklahoma State getting their ass kicked.
He changed that
and
quick,
look what he
didn't
did. Look at the facilities he built.
I know.
So you have that going on. So you've got just corruption, and it's been corruption on top of corruption.
Well, do you think
added on to corruption for years and years, and now you have a NCAA rules and binder that is this thick on rules on what you can and can't do, and so many things violate rules that nobody knows. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing in NCAA.
Okay, and the kicker for you, and I already know how you feel because I've heard you on radio many times before you did start doing this show with me, is that you feel like that it's a sin that these colleges make so much money off of a person or an athlete's name, and they suck all that money into their school, of a jersey or and yet the poor soul that's the star quarterback or wherever he is gets nothing.
Yeah, I have a problem, and it used to not be this way. And one of the teams that screwed it up was Texas A&M when they gave Jackie Sherrill a ridiculous contract. At the time, it wasn't, now it would be minimum wage.
Right.
But, I have a problem with a star athlete coming in and people using his image, selling him.
Jersey number, jersey name,
or whatever. And see, they try to do this ridiculous thing to where that they'll have the exact number, the exact jersey of Alabama or Notre Dame or whatever,
right.
And they'll have the star player's number, but not his name on the back. And that's supposed to make
Alabama
it okay.
didn't have their name on the back anyway.
Well, okay, once again, why do you keep calling me on this? Just play with me. You know what I mean? Or University of Texas, they do, okay, Bo?
Yeah, they go
quit screwing up all my analogies.
Oh, sorry.
So the ones that do have their name on the back, then they, when you go to the bookstore and you buy a Sam Ellinger jersey at University of Texas, it's just got his number 11. It doesn't have Ellinger on the back.
Okay.
And so that's supposed to mean, well, that may not be him. That's just a number.
Well, everybody knows
when they insult
difference.
Everybody's intelligence.
Well, that was the point I was saying about Alabama. They don't have the name, but
you know who it is. If it's number 15, you know it's Tua.
Yeah,
you know it's him, or 13. You know it's him. And so the corruption is so rampant and it's so ridiculous. And there are legendary. I'll tell you. Okay, you want to know how they. I know this for a fact, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off. But I've told this story on the air before. Way back in the 70s, one of the dirtiest schools in the Southwest Conference was Baylor. Nobody paid more players than Baylor.
Well, they've had some issues even with basketball, but I know you're probably getting into something football.
And you know how they did it in football? They would go to certain medium-sized towns, like Crockett.
Okay.
Or Lufkin. And I'm just picking those names out, Wichita Falls. And when they were recruiting in the Southwest Conference, first, desegregated and blacks came in.
Right.
And they would go to these towns, and what is the focal point of the black community? The focal point of a black community where everybody gathers around?
Football.
The church.
Oh, and the church. The church first, probably.
The church.
Yeah. Of course.
And usually in Texas, what church?
Baptist
church.
I got
And
you.
Baylor is what?
Baptist
church. And they would go to these black churches to where that they would find the elder or perhaps the preacher or whatever. And they said, man, we noticed that you need a new steeple. Lee, you need a new steeple.
Our whole new church, if they was good enough, right?
We notice your sidewalk's all cracked up. Well, if you can get John Smith over here to come to Baylor, we'll just make a donation, and you can get that new steeple. You can get that new sidewalk. Now, they're tax exempt. You don't have to say where all your money comes. And so for years and years, and it probably still goes on, the church was a focal point in sending athletes to a certain school. You don't get any more corrupt than a church in on the fix.
That's pretty high dollar right there.
So and
And
that,
they even probably
happened.
And they probably paid players that way. Like they would go to the pastor and say, hey, look, we will get you a new wing on your church. And at the same time, I want you to give this money to that family because they're in need. And, and it's a gift and it's a donation to the church. It's a tax write-off. And you don't even have to say where it even really went.
That happened. And it was rampant. And it happened a lot. And I'm sure I'm picking on Baylor because I know that happened. I know for a fact.
There you go.
That happened.
Baylor.
But I'm sure it happened in other industries there. And so the idea that they're just student athletes and they're just, all these innocent guys that are just going to go play for good old state and get that education, that was destroyed decades ago.
Chances of that.
And so now what they need to do is figure out a way to make it fair. And I don't have the answer, Bo. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, I know what they pass a law out there, and there's going to be a lot of things that come from that. There's going to be probably a lot of suits or a lot of this, or the NCAA going like, well, we're not going to acknowledge any schools out there to participate in any bowls, or I'm sure there's a lot of stuff.
The line in the sand has been drawn, and I think it's California's way. And in a way, I give them credit, and in a way, I don't, because somebody has to make the first move. And the NCAA was not going to do it on their own.
Well, they never do anything on their first
move.
move.
Why would they? Why would? You've got so many people making high $6 figures that do nothing in the NCAA.
Correct.
And they're doing it on the backs of free
the
labor.
workers. Right. Yeah.
And once again, I know they get education. I know they get that. And that's all
some
fine
do,
and dandy.
some don't still.
And that's all fine and dandy. But there has to be a way to compensate them. Now, this is going to open up a Pandora's box. They're going to have to rename Pandora's box because one has never been opened like this is going to be opened.
It's a pretty big deal, and I don't think folk out there really knows how big a deal it is. You may not even know this, and what we're just talking about, if you just joined us here on the SPAMM Saloon on the Bo.
Well, if you did, we're not going to backtrack. We're talking about paying athletes, okay?
But,
that's it.
Yeah, and they passed a law out in California about the fact that they're in 2023.
23.
Student athletes out there can make money off of the paraphernalia that is sold from that sport.
And they can hire agents.
To get the money and do the work.
But
do you think that's going to ultimately even stop the shenanigans? Even though they may make money, you're still going to want that kid to go to your school. And
what you're going to have is you're gonna get the alumni base, and they're all gonna band together at this university, that university, and you're gonna have about 20 universities that have all the money, and that's where all the kids are gonna go. Kind of like now.
Same difference, right?
Kind of like now.
So you really don't see it really coming into fruition that much?
Oh yeah, I do. Oh, I think it's going to change college football forever. I just wonder because. California's just the first, and they were the ones that had the balls to go out.
Yeah, they need a couple, 2, 3 more states to follow suit.
And I think that will happen.
Okay.
And if nothing's done, and this is going to be challenged in every court in the land,
of course.
And if nothing is done, and they do enact this in 2023, I think there will be several others. I don't want to put a number on it, but several other states that will join.
Well, it only needs just 2 or 3 or 4, and then that'll change. That's a snowball for everybody.
Well, they've got the big one. They've got California.
Yeah.
Now, will Texas join in? If Texas joins in, that's a game changer.
Yeah, big changer, right?
Because that's where if you could get Florida, Texas, and California, the NCAA might have to disband. Because they would have no control.
And would you cry over that?
No. Because the NCAA, it ceased to look out after the sport years ago.
Well, they're almost like our Congress, aren't they? Like our,
it's
our House of Representatives.
Look how long it took for them to get a simple, yet even still unfair playoff system. Because the bowl system was so corrupt,
that was
and they made so much money on it. And
you're still crying from that one they screwed TCU out of. So I know you're not in love with the NCAA.
And hey, my school TCU, believe me, we got some powerful alumni, and we've got Fort Worth behind us, and we've got some rich people. We're going to be able to sling money around.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do that. Baylor and Waco, they're going to be able to sling money around.
Yeah, there's money. There's definitely money.
University of Texas, I just can't imagine the money. And what you're going to get, before you had a limit on scholarships, you would have the big schools like your Texas, your big state schools that had a big enrollment. They'd sign every player. I mean, everybody wanted to play for University of Texas.
Yeah.
And so even if you knew,
I remember they'd go out there and they'd be players from the 10-yard line all the way to the other 10-yard line.
Well, but what I'm talking about is the quality of players.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
I mean, you would get every blue chipper, and you could give an unlimited amount of scholarships. And so Texas would have people that were fifth on their depth chart. They could start for anybody else,
Right,
but they went to Texas. And so you're going to have an element of that because the rich schools like Texas and Texas A&M, a couple of the California schools, USC, that have all the money and all the big alumni base, then they're going to have a player. Well, this small church school, they're going to pay you $1,000 a month. Well, we'll pay you $2,000. Yeah, well,
keep up in the ante. Huh?
I know of 8 quarterbacks that are better than me. I may never play, but if I can make more money and win a national title, maybe I'll go there. So it's going to be right now. They don't even.
It's a new day in college sports.
Well, right now they don't even know what the questions are.
Yeah.
Much less the answers.
Right, I got you.
And it is going to be. Like I said, they're going to have to
That's why they've
rename.
waited to 2023 before it's implemented because they know there's a lot of crap coming, right?
They're going to have to invent a new name for Pandora's box because this is about to be ripped off, and you're not going to. And how is this going to affect TV deals?
That's crazy.
I mean, it's going to affect so much, and I promise you, in this old world that we live in, no matter what the problem is, no matter what the dilemma is. The root of it is money.
Oh,
it all comes to money. And this will come to, because why are they doing it? Because of money.
Correct.
And money will create the questions, and money will create the answers. It's just a matter of what money influences what question and influences what answer.
Well, there you go. Okay. That covered about 5 hours of that one news story, but that was great, Greggo. Some great comments, and we actually wish the best for these college athletes because they do give a lot, and they put their talent and their bodies out on the line, just like even the NFL. So I mean, sometimes
you have to understand,
sometimes they lose out because they get hurt in their senior year or something like that, and don't get a chance to make those big bucks because they got hurt or injured. So they need to have some kind of financial support, some way, somehow. I agree with you on that. Speaking of another story here, and I'll keep it football related, college related too. Washington State University's coach Mike Leach is not happy after losing 2 straight games. He called his players fat, dumb, happy, and entitled. He also said, "I think we've got a bunch of free agents running around here, and they think they're pretty special, and then as soon as something doesn't go their way, they want to pout." I love Mike Leach.
Oh, he's my favorite. He's one of my favorite coaches in any sport. And he calls it like it is.
That's a greatness.
Remember when he talked about when he was at Texas Tech and he talked about the players' fat little girlfriends?
I remember that.
Got in that trouble. Hey,
is that what? That's that the one? No, what that didn't get him as much trouble as locking what's his name up.
Oh, he locked Craig James's kid up in a shed because he sucked.
Yeah, he did suck.
He was bad, and that's what got him fired. And Tech. I've got a lot of Tech friends, and they're still bitter over that because nobody wanted him fired.
Well, let me tell you something. I used to follow Texas Tech, and I don't anymore since he's gone. Yeah. I mean, really,
he made it fun. I like him because you don't get coach speak with him. I mean, no. Any other coach is going to say, well, our kids, they fight hard and they tried hard, and this is a tough game, and they got to do this, to where you have Leach going, hey, they're acting like a bunch of babies, and they need to grow up and be men and play better. I mean, we were ranked in the top 15 this year, and they got fat and happy, which he said.
Right.
And they go out there and they got
And
their
he's
ass
calling them
kicked
out
2
on it.
games, and they better play better. If not, they're going to lose 3 more games, 2 more games in a row. So, way to go, Mike Leach.
Yes.
We need more
I
of
totally
him,
agree.
not less.
I agree. A 72-year-old man from here in Dallas is facing murder charges after police said he shot a burglar in his backyard. James Michael Meyer woke up around 5 a.m. to sounds of somebody trying to break into his shed in his backyard. Meyer then grabbed his gun and went outside to confront the burglar. Meyer found the man using a pickaxe to break the door open and warned him to stop. The suspect took a few steps towards him. Meyer then opened fire. Suspect dropped his axe and fled toward a nearby park. Meyer fired one more in the direction of the park. Meyer then went back to sleep.
Did he kill a guy?
And he did. He went back a couple hours later after waking up. He noticed the body in the park. Called 911 after consulting with a lawyer. Meyer, he said, was taken into. Well, then Meyer was taken into custody, and the judge set his bail at $150,000.
Oh, boy, there's a lot of problems.
There's a lot of story in there.
A lot of problems in there. I mean, first of all, he's got the right to defend his property, and if the guy comes at him in a threatening way, he's got the castle doctrine. He's got the right to shoot him.
Correct.
But if the guy is running away, he's got a problem. And if he shot him, and he knew that he shot him, and he knew that he had fired his weapon,
and then went back to sleep,
and then he doesn't call the cops and goes back to sleep, he's
created some issues there.
He's got some issues. I'm not so sure that
what they'll get him on,
that $150,000 in a little, but if the guy's dead, I don't know. I mean, that's
a crazy story there, isn't it?
It's a nutty story.
That's right here in Dallas too.
We don't know what neighborhood was that? Was it in a bad neighborhood?
Didn't say
Has he been broken in before?
They didn't go into all that.
All that, you need to be armed with that information. I mean, if it's like a one-time deal, you've got the right to defend your person and property. It's a constitutional right. But if you're going to use that deadly force, it's got to be a last resort, and you got to follow the letter of the law.
Yeah, you don't want to go back and finish sleeping for 2 more hours and then call your attorney.
And not so sure how you can. And that kind of gives me a glimpse of this guy's demeanor. If you could shoot a guy
and then go back to
sleep, nobody likes sleep more than me.
Yes.
But if I shot a guy, I'm probably going to pick up the phone and call the cops and go, "Hey,
there's no way I'm going back to sleep.
We've got a situation over here. You need to come
now."
over."
Right. Well, that's a crazy story. Well, here's the one related to that. It happened in Florida. A Florida man has been charged with aggravated malicious wounding and breaking and entering with intent to commit a felony. 65-year-old Henry Frank Herbig.
You're going to have to start. You're going to have to just stop trying to pronounce a name. You can't pronounce it. You're worse than me.
I am terrible.
You need to start saying a guy in Florida.
A guy. Here's
his name is Henry H.
How about that? How about Henry
You are
Frank?
struggling with these names,
I hate
man.
That drove from Florida. And why don't they do like Smith or Jones?
Well, why don't you just make up the name?
Okay.
From now on, let's call everybody Harry Smith.
Well, I could have gone somewhere with that, but I won't. He drove from Florida to Virginia Beach and broke into his estranged wife's home to try and kill her. However, while attacking her with a wrench, his stepdaughter shot him in the spine, leaving him paralyzed. No charges were filed against the stepdaughter. Investigation found a journal of his outlining to his murder plot. That's what you call what you call it when you get it back bad vibe really quick.
Well, that's karma.
Karma, that's what the word I'm looking for. That's quick karma right there, isn't it?
And it's also,
again, breaking and entering.
Know one thing, that a gun is better than a wrench.
No joke.
If you're gonna go kill somebody, which you shouldn't do at all.
Crazy,
but if you are,
wrench
don't
may
take
not
a
be
wrench.
The best option.
Especially if you know the person that you're going to kill might have a firearm. That's pretty dumb on your part. But it kind of reversed around on you. And once again, we don't know anything about
Well,
this
they
guy.
didn't file any charges, and they've arrested
doesn't
that
matter.
guy. They put some.
It doesn't matter. I mean,
He's paralyzed
he
now.
wrote it down. And by the way, that's stupid too. Don't create evidence on yourself. Writing it down. Never write anything down. Don't write anything down.
And never take your cell phone anywhere with you when you do commit a crime. How
No,
about
because
that?
there's three things. You cannot commit murders or crimes anymore because three things will get you.
Right.
DNA, cell phones pinging off everything,
All the towers,
and surveillance video.
Yes.
Everything is being taped. You'll watch an episode of Columbo, and you know how they show you how in the beginning how the crime happened,
right?
and you'll go, oh well, they'll get him on DNA on that. Oh, that surveillance video from that bank, we get that, and you've solved it instantly.
Yeah, that's right.
They didn't have that back then.
No, it was a whole big
But now, if
investigation.
you watch the
ID
ID
channel,
network,
which I love,
every single murder or crime is solved. Cell phone pings. When you say, no, I was over here in this county. Well, no, we've got your cell phone record, and it shows you were right there in the house.
and then if you think that you're going to go buy one of those ones you pay cash for and it's not traceable, baloney. They'll find where it came from. They'll find who sold that phone, where you bought it. And
burner phones, they always find it. Or when you buy that shovel to bury the body
Yeah,
you kill,
Walmart.
or you buy those gloves and that duct tape,
It's surveillance.
and you think you're really smart that, you know what, I'm going to pay cash. I'm going to pay cash money. So you go in there and you pay cash for all this, and they give you one of those receipts that are longer than,
Yeah,
John
exactly.
Holmes's dick.
Oh, boy, here we go.
And then all of a sudden, they find that and they go, okay, you went to this Walmart. Oh, you thought you were smart. You went to a Walmart 9 counties over. Then they go to that Walmart and they find out exactly the time on that receipt that you
Paying
bought
cash.
it, and they pull up the video, and there you are,
Smiling.
John Q. Public buying that shovel, buying that duct tape.
Exactly.
So it's
Today's crime is pretty rough.
those three elements have taken the fun from criminals away.
Yeah, it
You
sure
can't be
has.
a criminal anymore. They're going to catch you.
Yeah.
I mean, and the only thing I know is if you're going to do it, wear a complete hazmat uniform,
yeah.
everything.
Everything completely
Don't
covered.
make a cell phone call for 2 years.
Don't even carry your cell phone with you, and don't tell a friend.
And-
because that's the other thing is you think
Yes.
that you include somebody like a friend or a buddy or
They're going to drop a dime on you.
As soon as they're called into investigation, they're going to throw your butt right under the bus quickly.
And also,
We're giving them all the hints.
if you kill somebody and you got away with it, and it's like 8 years and you've totally got away with it, and you committed this perfect murder and you killed this person and you got away with it, and then you get popped for a DUI and you're in jail, and somebody else goes, yeah, I'm in here for murder. Well, I murdered a guy once.
Here he goes to live flapping.
And then they
They get a lot of guys like that.
jailhouse snitch. Then they go tell somebody. Then they pull up the DNA that they kept. They
Well,
match it
there
to
you
you,
are.
and then you go to God, criminals. You're a criminal for a reason because you're stupid.
Exactly.
Oh God.
Well, we know that's a fact.
Gets me.
So here we go. Now, a 6th grade girl at a private school in Virginia who claimed last week, and I brought this story up on one of our anti-bully spots that we had last week, that 3 boys held her down and cut her dreadlocks. She had dreadlocks during recess, admitted that she lied about the horrific ordeal. The girl's grandparents, legal guardians, released a statement apologizing for her actions. The incident was investigated by the Fairfax Police Department. However, it's still unclear why the 12-year-old girl made up the story.
Okay, you know what? First of all, I no longer believe in any of these hate crimes anymore. I don't believe them. Some of them are legit, but I don't believe in any of them because
It's like
so
Crime
many of
Wolf
them
so much.
have been. Just look in the past 6 months. You had that Jussie Smollett totally got away with it when he tried to.
Well, there you go.
You had the ex-NFL player that LaDon Kaufman, who wrote MAGA and a bunch of swastikas on his business in Florida. Then they caught him with paint on his hands after he wrote it.
Speaking of the criminals, while ago.
You had that. You had so many of these people that have lied, just lied, and then they go to the media, and if any way they can tie it back to Trump or Republicans,
that's where they
the
go.
media will do it. And how did they do it on this girl? Because Mike Pence's wife teaches art at that school. So that's how they tied that in.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So first of all, it was a hate crime. And then they can say, well, this poor black kid had a bunch of white bullies, held her down, and cut her hair. That sounds horrific. And does that happen?
Well, I reported it last week as fact.
And does that happen? Yeah, it happens.
Sure.
But she lied about it. And then they were able to say, okay, see, that's Trump. That's Trump. That's what he's doing. That's his divisive language. He causes all that. So they make that connection so unfairly in the first place. And then they found out, oh, the vice president's wife teaches at this school.
I see. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. And then it just amplifies. And
it was a big,
it was a huge story.
I reported it everywhere.
The
all
media
over the place.
bit down on it like a largemouth bass
I
on a
did too.
treble hook. And they were reeled in, and the girl lied her ass off.
Yes, she
now,
did.
what should happen to this 6th grade girl? I don't know, but something should. Because
Yeah.
all of this lying about these hate crimes has got to stop.
I agree. Yeah.
Because
it's-
right now, you've got a guy like me that I don't believe. So the next time that somebody comes on and has had the hell beat out of
same
them,
kind of situation.
and they've got swastikas on them, and I'm going to go, I don't believe it. Because there's too many of them that are just fake.
Well, you go even all the way back to the Kavanaugh hearings and all the crap that's brought up about that.
And those Covington kids.
And a lot of the M2, Pound Me
So-
Too stories that
were
you
just
know,
lies.
were just lies.
And now you've got a media that's so divisive, and they hate the country, because the media does hate this country.
They do.
And they hate the president more than they hate anything in the world. And their hatred is so great that they will take any little bitty story that they can mold and manipulate, and they will blow it up. And they've got the big platform because there's more liberal media than there is conservative media, and they will flood the zone with it. They will flood the airwaves, and the next thing you know, these 3 kids held this black kid down and cut his hair, and it just becomes fact. It happened. It happened. When it was a lie. She made the whole thing up. She lied.
Yeah, well, they're not
And I
getting the
promise
reason
you,
why she did.
And I promise you, there's a
sucks
lot of
right
people
there.
like me that I just don't believe any of it anymore.
I think, well, one thing about...
Show me the video, show me the DNA, show me the
Yeah,
cell phone
well,
pictures.
with all the stuff we got now, they need to
Show
find
me
out
that,
the
because
truth.
I don't believe. Now, do hate crimes happen? Yes. Is it fair of me to have that attitude? Lord, no. Lord, no. I'm an asswipe for having that type of attitude. But
we're
they've
being
made me
trained
that
for
way.
that.
They've jaded me.
Yes.
They've made me
Yes.
that way
I'm all
because
there.
I've bought into too many. And that's just the ones that I named are just a few. There have been so many more of where that, a church will have all these swastikas, and they'll find out, well, it was the people.
Yeah, in their own church or something, or craziness.
It was the people trying to frame the bad people that were doing it. And so I don't believe them.
Well, that's going on pretty heavy right now.
Yeah.
And we'll do one more so you can get home and watch
Got to see
Andy
Andy.
Dalton.
Got to go see Andy.
Okay, just out today, your favorite player of all times in the NFL, Antonio Brown, is going against the NFL and filing a $61 million grievance and appeal for dollars he says is owed to him.
No surprise whatsoever. No surprise. None. I mean, it was expected. The NFL expected it. Every lawyer expected it. I don't blame him for doing it. I mean, he gave a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to this league. Now, he acted like an idiot, and he probably got what he deserved. But, we don't know the mental capacity of this guy, because he used to not be like that. And we don't know, and I'm just trying to be fair.
Well, okay, but
we don't know that if he's suffering from some of that CTE. We don't know that. But I just know that he has changed a lot. And a lot of people, I know a good friend of mine, it works in Pittsburgh media, and they said that he was always a guy that marched to the beat of his own drummer, but not like this. He was always outspoken. He always had a chip on his shoulder. He went to a small school. He wasn't heavily recruited. They didn't think he was going to make it, and the next thing you know, he's the greatest receiver in the league. So he's always had that chip on his shoulder, but not to this extent. So I would like to know, somebody needs to get a hold of him and have him evaluated, because I don't think that all.
Well, I'm sure they will when it comes to some of this stuff, and if they can prove that there is some sort of mental issue there, then he'll probably win some money.
I don't think that all of his mental faculties are where they need to be, and if I were him, I can see why he's going to do it. I think he's going to have a long road to go, and I think the NFL.
Well, one point I was going to make about that is if they got rid of him before there was really a true trial on his, because a lot of that stemmed around the accusations against him, and if those turn out not to be much of anything, there might even be more of a reason where he might get something.
I'm not so sure about his desire to play football this year. Because
you said he'd be back on a team in November.
He sure seemed like that he was going out of
his. You still holding on to that story?
I don't know. I mean, now that he's filing suit, I just can't imagine the NFL
I don't think so.
would allow one of their members to sign this guy when he's got a $70 million suit against him. Hey, I don't blame him for trying to do it. I wonder how much is him wanting to do it and his agent, because he's represented by Drew Rosenhaus,
which is this devil incarnate.
He's
he's burning right now. He's so full of the devil.
He's one of the very few. He's one of the very few agents that can walk in a rattlesnake den and not get bit. You know why rattlesnakes don't bite him? Professional courtesy.
And he's more poisonous than they are.
Professional courtesy.
Well, here's that sound right there. That means that we're either coming on or going off, and in this particular situation, we're headed out.
I'm coming or going, Bo.
Greggo, another great show, my friend.
It was.
We're having a great time, and we'll be back Friday at 7 p.m.
What a fun subject.
We'll have a lot more stories to go. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Share it. Get on there and share it on your Facebook page or Twitter page, and that's where you can find us, is on Twitter at Bo and Greggo, and on Facebook.com/Bo and Greggo.
And hold a good thought for Andy and the Bengals.
Yes.
Hold a good thought for
Yes.
him.
Make sure
you're not a Bengal fan, just hopefully that Andy does good. We got to
make sure his hair still stays red. Till Friday. Have a great week. We love you, and thank you.